Thanks to Yulong's presence, everybody around him is growing, including Yulong himself, of course. Where do we go following his encounter with Android 13? We'll cover that and more in the 7th part of What If Frieza Was Good. A few years pass. Out in space, Bobidi is trying to plan what his next move will be. He has to find someone strong to help him revive Buu. He needs the energy, but he can't really find it anywhere. Although, he does have one good target. Earth seems to have some strong warriors now, so he could just use that planet. There should be enough energy there to help revive Buu. He's been going from planet to planet and hasn't had much success. Investigating most places, there's not really anything. Until one day, he and Dabura come across something interesting. Or rather, something comes to them. Within the same solar system they're in, Bobidi could feel some sort of strong presence. And it's coming their way. It seems that someone can sense them. This could be a good opportunity, and Dabura gets ready. They were about to head out and go to those powers themselves, but instead, just let it come to them. 3 spherical space pods come through the atmosphere. And 3 Saiyans step off, Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz. They've been out in space trying to grow stronger. They weren't really too sure what to do after their encounter with Yulong, although they've grown much stronger since then. They've been in this solar system recently, and they sensed Dabura's power pop up. It was hard to not notice it. They thought it might have been a threat coming their way, and now seeing these two up close, they wonder if these freaks are some part of Cooler's army. Even without Cooler or King Cold, there still has been some activity within the army, but nothing's really been happening with it otherwise. It's not really a friendly encounter, and it starts to escalate, with the 3 Saiyans then transforming, showing off Super Saiyan. It took them a while and they only just unlocked this, but still, it dramatically increases their power and really helps them in battle. Bobidi says they should be really helpful, and sends Dabura in to fight them. Just from this fight alone he can gather energy, but Dabura kinda needs to fight them regardless, which is no problem for him. Even with Super Saiyan, it seems to not be enough. Dabura just is that strong. With the 3 of them combined, it makes it a little closer at least, but they're relying too much on their combined power and they can't really fight together too well as a group. They like to do their own thing, which works against them here, especially because they kind of go one by one. Raditz steps up first, gets his ass whooped, then Nappa, same thing, and then Vegeta, and then the 3 try to fight together, and still, they collectively lose. They intended to go back to Earth to defeat Frieza and Kakarot. Even with his memory loss, they don't trust Frieza existing, and they need to prove that they're superior to Kakarot as well. But now they've encountered their first obstacle. It looks like they're not going to get to Earth anytime soon. Dabura defeats the 3 of them, and then Bobidi steps in. He got a good amount of energy from that, but he doesn't want to waste it just yet. And he just had a really good idea. He could turn them into his minions. But he has an even more wicked idea than that. He tries to take control, and they're very easy to take control of due to their evilness. Sure, they might have changed a bit, but barely enough. Not only will it be harder for them to resist Bobidi, but it's going to be easier to give into that temptation of power. But the other plan Bobidi has is to have them fight each other. Sure, having them as minions is great, but what if he just speeds up the process and has them fight? Instead of waiting for someone to come his way, have them fight each other. The Saiyans aren't fully under Bobidi's spell, but it's not like Majin and Vegeta either where he could do whatever he pleases. They were much more susceptible to his spell due to their evil, and much weaker. So Bobidi actually has a greater control on them. But the idea he has in mind is to just have them fight each other. He won't face much resistance from that because he's essentially training them after giving them great power. They're much more impressionable thanks to that. It benefits them as training this way, but also slowly gives energy to Bobidi. And Dabura commends Bobidi. This is a splendid loophole. Also, he's glad he's not being used as a punching bag for it. Bobidi thinks this might be a slower process, but it should be able to work. He thinks that if you turn the possession on and off, then he can gather energy from them. Like for example, have Vegeta fight Raditz, and turn off the spell for Raditz so he can get energy from Raditz. Or if that doesn't work, worst case, he trains them up even further, and then uses them as batteries, just using the energy suction device. So if the first option doesn't work, the second one definitely will. Either way, it's a great option because it's a fast way to get energy. And Dabura is sure to keep them in check as well. Around the same time, Yulong's at Kame House. He's continuing his training with Mr. Satan. He actually won the most recent tournament, and eventually after winning, he asked Yulong if he could help train someone else. Yulong doesn't really want to take on any other students, but after seeing Mr. Satan's success, he actually is pretty inclined to do so. Mr. Satan's become a really strong warrior, and now he brings another student to the island, his daughter Videl. Oh, Yulong didn't expect another kid. So now he has 3 students and 2 of them are kids. He doesn't want this to turn into a daycare. But he gets along well with Gohan, and having Videl there seems to be a good thing. She shows some promise. Gohan and Videl of course become friends here. Although Gohan doesn't spend all his time training with Yulong, he spends a lot more time training with Goku now. He's achieved Super Saiyan by himself. And by this point in the story, he and Goku have ascended to Super Saiyan 2. Partially thanks to Yulong, also helping both of them out. He's unlocked some great new power for himself too, but hasn't really had a chance to use it yet. Someone then teleports onto the island, specifically requesting Yulong's help. He introduces himself, the Supreme Kai Shin. He's known about Yulong for a while, especially with the fact that he's Frieza, or at least formerly was Frieza. And knowing now that he's a good guy, maybe he could help out here. And he explains what's going on. A threat named Majin Buu is about to be revived, and they need someone to stop him. Yulong's the strongest person out there, so they need his help. Shin's grateful that he dealt with Cooler and King Cold, but Yulong says that wasn't for any particular reason. They came to attack him, and he was just defending himself. He didn't seek them out to be a hero, he actually avoided the conflict there. And Shin understands that, but he explains how big of a threat Majin Buu will be if he's revived. They've been monitoring Bobidi for a while, and he seems to have just stopped in one place, which signifies that he might be gathering energy. They don't have all the details just yet, because they didn't want to get too close and spoil their operation. They're getting intel on him, but they can't get too much. He has a hunch Bobidi's going to make a move soon, but he doesn't know about the Saiyans specifically. And you know what? Yulong will go for it. It seems like this guy's going to just destroy everything regardless, so it looks like he'll have to step in either way, and it's better to solve it now than later. Plus, it might be a good challenge for him. He wonders if he could finally use his full strength in a battle. Cooler and Android 13 were the only ones who made him do that. But Cooler was definitely the bigger challenge. By the time Android 13 came around, he was defeated pretty quickly, and Yulong has grown far beyond that former limit. So, now it's time to test out that power. Shin takes him to the planet Bobidi's on. And of course, Bobidi's pretty taken aback. He didn't expect to see the Supreme Kai here. But it makes sense because he wasn't really lying low. Although it's interesting who he brought along with him. He's been studying Cooler's army for a while because that could have been a great target. And he actually does know about Yulong. They must be really desperate, but it's fine. Any moment now, Buu will be revived. A ki blast is then sent from the distance, aimed at Shin. Yulong quickly steps in the way, guarding against it. He's barely damaged by it, not even really phased. And Dabura then flies over from the horizon, starting to attack Yulong. Shin tells him to end the fight quickly. And Bobidi interjects. What, is he worried about Buu being revived? It's already too late. Thanks to Dabura's intervention, that gave him just a little bit more energy. He's at 99% right now. The first strategy he had in mind kind of worked, but he ended up switching to making the Saiyans batteries. And Bobidi then teleports himself away. With a single blast, Yulong kills Dabura, and then flies around trying to find Bobidi. It's a shame he has to do it like this, but it's not a big deal. Bobidi gives a little of his own energy to Buu, with the meter going from 99% to 100. A giant cloud of steam explodes over the horizon. Yulong can clearly see it, and he rushes over with Shin. And Shin's confused. How did he get unleashed so quickly? What has he been doing here? It would have taken a lot of energy to revive Buu. He only stopped on this planet a few weeks ago. And now Buu's already here? Well, looking at how quickly Yulong defeated Dabura, maybe Buu won't be too big of an issue. Of course, Buu is way stronger than Dabura, but he doesn't really have a gauge of Yulong's power. He defeated Dabura in one shot with no effort. So it will be interesting to see how this pans out. Yulong arrives and sees Bobidi laughing as Buu's revived, standing there in all his glory. This guy's kind of annoying. Yulong lifts up a finger, launching a death beam at Bobidi. Quickly he throws up a barrier, but the beam is strong enough to go through the barrier, with Bobidi feeling a microsecond of fear, realizing that he's dead, as the beam goes right through his head. Shin's a bit terrified, but still amazed. They should be in good hands with Yulong. Yulong cracks his neck and gets ready for the battle, with Buu also seeming in good spirits. The two begin their fight, and Yulong adapts pretty quickly, learning that Buu could regenerate quick. And Shin watches on completely intrigued. The way Yulong fights is amazing. He seems to be a master fighter in general. Everything about the way he fights is amazing. He has no wasted movements at all. He fights so calmly, but at the same time with purpose. His attacks are delivered with calmness, but it has the full force of his power behind them. It's just natural to him. And Yulong turns to Shin just wanting to confirm something. Does Buu have any transformation or something? As far as Shin knows, he doesn't. Well, he's actually supposed to be in a different form, Kid Buu, but Shin doesn't know if he's going to transform beyond this. Yulong says that's a shame. He wanted a chance to use his full power, but doesn't really have an opportunity here. Shin asks what he's saying, and Yulong says that he's holding back. And as he is right now, he's going to be able to win here. He just wanted to see if the fight could become more interesting before he finishes it off right now. Quickly, he charges a Kamehameha, fanning the blast out so it completely encapsulates Buu. A blast so powerful that Shin is knocked back, and he's not even close to Yulong right now. The entire planet's shaking, and it feels like the whole solar system is illuminated by the light of it. With that one blast, Majin Buu is defeated. How did Yulong get so strong? Well, it really comes down to his mind by this point. As we discussed earlier in the series, he had trouble accessing his latent potential. He wasn't really himself, and it was a pretty long journey for him, but eventually he came to terms with himself. He's mastered his own mind, body, and heart. He's completely in tune with his spirit. He has no doubts about who he is, what his purpose is, everything. He has a completely refined mentality. He accepts himself, and even with his tumultuous past, he found his own identity and the importance of that. He knows who Yulong is, and he's confident about that. Combine that with the mastery over everything else, and he's finally been able to harness that potential that he has, no longer held back by amnesia, self-doubt, or his past. Although, it's a shame that he couldn't use his full power here. He really wanted to use his new form against Buu, but that could wait for later. Shin takes him back to Earth and is grateful for his help, and Yulong thanks him for the early warning. Better to deal with it now than have to deal with it later on Earth. It was pretty cool to meet another god, even if Yulong was way stronger than that god. Although this won't be the last god he meets. Much earlier than normal, years before normal actually, Beerus awakens from his slumber. He's a bit groggy because that nap was kind of short, but Whis reminds him. He set these alarms for now for a specific reason. Oracle Fish told him of a rival arriving at this time. And yeah, Beerus actually remembers now. It seems to be something related to the Cold Empire. Before he went to sleep, he actually knew of a strong warrior on Earth. All along, he knew that his rival would be Frieza. Of course, he had a chat with Cooler before destroying planet Vegeta. And he knew everything about Cold's army, and the fact that Cooler actually had a brother, one who was supposed to be stronger than him. He would have sought out Frieza sooner, but he wanted to wait a bit, especially because Oracle Fish told him that by this point he would be a true rival, with Whis telling him everything that Yulong's been up to, and the fact that he's not Frieza now. It seems that time on Earth really changed him. Plus, he has a strong group of friends too, including a Saiyan there. What an interesting development. He quickly heads to Earth, finding his way to Kame House. Mr. Satan and Videl are terrified. They just want to train. What's with all the gods showing up here? But Yulong's not too taken aback. He's pretty cordial with Beerus and Whis, and they return that. Roshi and Chaozu are with Videl and Mr. Satan, watching from inside the house. Roshi wonders what it is about Yulong that attracts all these gods here, and just all these strong fighters in general. Chaozu thinks it's pretty amazing, actually, to be so strong that people are coming from all over the universe just to face him. At least that's what he thinks is going to happen here with Beerus and Whis. Why else would they be here? Beerus says he's honestly surprised. Someone from the Cold Empire survived. But Yulong says he swore them off a while ago. Actually, he didn't even know about them for decades, and by the time he did, he disowned them, so he never really was part of that. By blood, yes, he's related to them, but he's an Earthling now. Beerus understands he goes by the name Yulong now too. Truly a testament to the fact that he's not his brother. And that should be interesting. Someone with the power of Cooler or King Cold, but a gentle heart and mind. Not to mention, he beat Cooler and King Cold. Beerus really wants to face him. So the two of them go up into the sky above Kame House and begin fighting. He tells Yulong they could skip the formalities and just go to full power. Well, Beerus isn't going to go full power, but Yulong can. He wants to make this quick and try out some food here on Earth. He knows nothing about it, but he smelled something good from inside Kame House. He just wants to see Yulong's full strength. And Yulong's not really sure, but against someone like Beerus, he should be fine. He can't sense Beerus's power. But if he really is that strong, he should be able to give Yulong a good fight and handle his full strength. He's made this power his own. He's turned his curse into a gift. And now, this form that he's in right now, it's not even considered his final form. This is simply his true state. He's molded his 100% power into this. And this is just him. But now he has an actual transformation beyond it. Not a suppression, not full power, but a completely separate form. And he's really excited to show it off. It reminds him of Goku, honestly. A man who's pushed him so far in life. He's glad to have his own transformation just like Goku.
And you know, thinking of Goku makes him wonder what happened with those Saiyans. Probably nothing to worry about. He's sure they'll cross paths again someday.
He begins powering up, and there's an immense increase in power. Even Beerus is impressed. Not much changes about his physical appearance except the color of him. And the transformation isn't really too explosive. But the aura around him is dense, almost tangible, taking on a greenish teal color, a pleasant and soothing hue. And Yulong fully reveals the new form to Beerus. It's a strange form with a greenish tint to it, welcoming Beerus to finally fight him. And with that, we leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What's gonna happen next time, and what is this new form Yulong showed off? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps with the channel and shows you want to see more like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.